Good morning all, this is Srividya, Assistant Professor, Department of CSIT. Today's session we will see the categories of functions. In the last session we have seen what is function, why do we need functions in C, and we have seen one sample program also, how to declare a function, how to call a function and how to write a function program. We have seen the sample program also. Now we will see the categories of function. So let's recall the last session what we have discussed. So in the last class we have discussed what is a function. So function is a sub part of a program, or it is a subcode. It is a code which is used to perform a specific task and is executed individually. So using functions, the advantages of functions, using functions we can implement modular programming, and functions makes the program more readable and understandable. So types of functions also we have seen. Types of functions are predefined functions and user defined functions. So predefined functions are already defined in the library, like whenever we need that specific code, so you will get those functions from the library. So for example, we have printf and scanf. Printf and scanf are the two basic predefined functions which we use regularly because they exist in stdio.h header file. And suppose in the last session I have discussed this one also, cos, tan, so power. If you want to use these type of functions in your program, they are mathematical functions. So they exist in #include stdio.h math.h header file. So and user defined functions. User defined functions are also create their own functions. The functions that are created by the users are called the user defined functions. So we have seen this one: function declaration, function definition and function call. So function declaration is written above the main function and function call is written inside the main function. So whenever a function call is seen by the compiler, the control will directly jump to the function definition, means it will check where exactly the user has written that code or where exactly the user has defined that code in your program. So function declaration is written above the main function, function call inside the program, inside the main function you can say, and function definition is written after the main function. And need of functions in C, that is also we have discussed in the last class. Why do we need functions in C? So if you want to repeat some specific program or to calculate sum of two numbers for 5 times, 10 times, in such that, for example, let's take a case in a big program, or you are writing some lines of code like 200, 300 lines of code you want to code in your program. So where you need to calculate sum for 5 times. Okay, so instead of writing sum of the two numbers for 5 times, you can just simply use the code in functions and you can repeat the code for 5 times. So that will execute. So now in this session we will see the categories of functions. So function without parameters and without return value. So what is this function without parameters and without return value? So in the last session we have seen the syntax of function declaration. So what is the syntax of function declaration? It is return type, function name, data type, comma, data type, so on, semicolon. Suppose if I want to calculate sum of two numbers only, let's take the same example, sum of two numbers only. So the inputs I need to calculate for sum of two numbers are 2, A and B are my two inputs. So what are the data types of these two numbers? A is an integer. I am calculating sum of two numbers on integers only. So my two data types are int and int. So just int comma int. Only we will pass the data types. The variables data types will be written here. So here #include stdio.h, #stdio.h and void sum. So this is the function declaration. So void sum. Why it is void sum? So means you are not passing any parameters in this declaration here. So we will not pass any parameters. We will just write without, because the category is without parameters. Without parameters means the return type. There are no parameters and no return values. No return value. So we will use void as a data type because void returns nothing. So void is a data type and sum is the name of the function. So return type, the declaration, if you see the syntax of the function declaration, it is return type function name. So void here it is return type and sum is the function name and semicolon, function declaration. So next, after that, so function declaration is written above the main function. Next, main function. Your actual execution starts from the main function. So before that you need to declare the function. And in the function, just you will call the function, because here we are not passing any parameters. No parameters we are passing here. So just simply call the function. So what is the name of the function? It is sum. Next, function definition, void sum int a comma b. I'll take one more variable c, printf. So generally how you will write? Printf sum of two numbers logic. Enter any two numbers, scanf %d comma address of a comma address of b. Next we will write the logic. C is equals to a plus b. So now see here, c is equals to a plus b. This is your exact logic what we are calculating for sum of two numbers. We have two inputs a and b, and after adding these two numbers, the result will be in the variable c. Result will be in the variable c. So now how to print it? Just you can directly use the printf function and you can print the data that is in the variable c. There are no return values. So if you have any return values in your program, you need to use the keyword return. Otherwise you can use printf %d comma c semicolon. Directly you can print it with the help of the printf function. So now void sum is the function declaration. So after that main function is written, control will come here, sum is a function call. So what is the syntax of function call? Sum, syntax of function call. Syntax of function call is function name and list of parameters. This is the syntax of the function call, but here in this case this is without parameters. Without parameters means because we have not passed any parameters in the function declaration. So here also no parameters need to be mentioned. It is directly sum. That's it. So now the control will go to the definition part. So here sum, and the logic original code, we have actual code was written here, and c is equals to a plus b, printf %d comma c. Suppose in the main function one time I have called the function sum. So one time this code will run. If I call sum, the name of the function again for the second time. So after executing this one, control will again come here. So it will check, okay, function call is again, it was again called. So next again the control will go to the definition part. Again it will execute this code. So if you check the output here, suppose imagine this is your, let's consider this is your output screen. So whatever you have written in the printf function. So what we have written in the printf function? Enter any two values. Enter any two values 2 and 3. Sum will be 5 will be printed. After that the control will go back to the calling function. So after here again sum is initiated. Now the control will go back again, go to the definition part. Again it will ask enter any two values. Suppose if I give 10 and 2, 12 will be printed. So likewise I have written here, I have called the function call for 2 times. So 2 times my program, this code will run for 2 times. This code will, this particular section will execute for 2 times. If I write again sum for the 3rd time, like this, sum 2nd time and sum 3rd time. Again it will ask enter any 2 values 5 and 6. So likewise, how many times you will call here? That many times your code will run. Without writing this code again and again, you can reuse this code by calling simply with the function name. So this category is function without parameters and without return values. There are no return values. Back to the calling. Next category is function without parameters and with return value. So this category is without parameters and with return value. So without parameters means but there are no return values to be passed in the declaration, but we have the return values. So what you will do? So see here, in sum, the function declaration was written and main function. Above the main function, we have declared this function declaration. So what it is? This is function declaration, and this is your main function. Above the main function, we have written the function declaration, and next here res is a variable. We have taken that because there are return values that will go back to the calling function. So res is equals to sum. Sum is a function call here. So we will print, because after calculating we are sending data return back to the calling function again. So data will be in the calling function. So we have to print that data. So we need a variable to assign that data to a variable. So here we have taken a variable res and we will assign that calling function to a variable. So printf sum is %ld comma res. So int 0, because we have taken int main, so return 0. Next, this is function definition. Int a comma b comma s are the variables. Printf enter any two values, scanf %ld comma address of a comma address of b, because we are taking two inputs 2 and 3. So after calculating it is s is equals to 2 plus 3. Let's consider your inputs are 2 and 3. 2 plus 3. Answer is 5. So return s. What is s? S. The value that is stored in s is 5. So return this value back to the calling function. So now it is having this value 5. So where you need a variable to print that value. With the help of printf function only you will print that value. So printf sum is %ld comma res. So 5. So sum is 5. 5 will be printed on your screen. Okay. So first, again this is your output screen, or first function declaration is defined and this category is without parameters. So without parameters means we will not pass any parameters in the function declaration as well as in the calling function. So first, main function. Above the main function we have written that function declaration, and inside the main function we have called this function sum, and we have taken a variable to store the data after execution. So we need a variable to print that value. So with the help of printf function you will print that value, and this is function call, and this is function definition. So here we have calculated sum of two numbers. Suppose a is 10, enter any two values. We will enter 10 and 2. So s is equals to, the data will be calculated, 12 will be printed. So this, the control, the return s. So return is a keyword, which is this control will take back the data back to the calling function. So now you will get the value 12 will be printed on the screen. So this is without parameters and with return values. So how this memory will be allocated for this program? Suppose imagine this is your memory, RAM. First, main function, which is allocated some memory. After that, there is one more calling function, that is sum. For sum also memory will be allocated, and in the sum, whenever the control comes to the function definition, there are two variables a and b. So a and b will be allocated some space in the memory. So after execution, whenever the control go back to the main function, because we have written sum is a function name that is in the main function itself. So this memory will be deleted, or it will be freed from the RAM. Okay. So the data will be deleted. Again, whenever the control sum or function call is initiated, then the memory will be allocated for this definition. So next category, function with parameters and without return value. So this is the third category, function with parameters and without return value. So here in the last two categories we have seen without parameters. So this is with parameters. So with parameters means so you will pass the parameters in the function declaration. So how to declare a function? Return type, we will take sum of two numbers only, and sum of two numbers, we need two variables to calculate sum of two numbers. So the data type I am taking both are integers only. So this is how you need to declare the function declaration. So you will pass the parameters here, int, comma, int, the data types. Next, it is written above the main function before starting of your program. Main actual execution starts from the main. So before main function you have to write your function declaration. So next, as we are passing the parameters in the both the cases, you will declare your variables here itself, int a comma b, printf, enter any two values, scanf, %ld comma address of a comma address of b. So printf and scanf you will write. After that, so what is the, after that immediately we have given the input, scanf, %ld comma address of a comma address of b. So after giving the input, what we will do? Declaration was done. After that, function call. Syntax of the function call is function name. Sum is the function name and parameters, list of parameters. You will not write any data type here. Data type was already declared here. Okay, mentioned there. So just write the names, input variables. What are the input variables in your program? List them, list of parameters, function name and list of parameters. A and B are the parameters, only input values you will write here. After that, so this category is without return value. Just simply close this one, and after that, function definition. So now function is declared and control will check here sum of a comma b, int sum of int a comma int b, int c is equals to a plus b. No need to declare here a comma b again, it was already declared. If you declare here, the compiler will show you the error because it is like redeclaration of the variables. It is already declared. So function declaration and function definition both must be same. C is equals to a plus b, and it is without return value. Without return value means you can directly print here, printf %ld comma c. So now control will come here. Execution starts from the main function, sum of a comma b. Suppose 2 and 3 are my inputs. So those inputs were copied here, 2 and 3. C is equals to a plus b, 2 plus 3, 5. 5 will be printed on your screen. So 5 will be printed on your screen. This is your third category. Next category is the fourth category, function with parameters and with return value. So here this is the last category, functions with parameters and with return values. Means we need to pass the parameters and we need to, after executing, we need to return back the values to the calling function. So it is int sum of int comma int a comma b comma res. To store the result, we have taken a variable res. You can take C, any variable you can declare. Enter a comma b values, scanf %ld comma address of a comma address of b, and then result res is equals to sum of a comma b. So same, 2 comma 3 are the inputs. You can take any values. 2 comma 3 we are calculating sum. I am calculating sum for 2 and 3. So here function call is initiated. So now the control will check for the definition, where the definition is written. Definition was written here. So int sum of int a comma int b, function declaration and function definition. Function declaration and function definition must be same. Int s, why we need have taken another variable? Because we have to calculate sum of two numbers and we need to store the result in another variable. So s is equals to a plus b, return s. So now return yes, 2 plus 3, 5. The control will go back to the calling function and we have assigned this, we have return value. So we need to assign the function call to a variable. So now 5 will be printed. Here we have taken the inputs as 3 and 5, sum is 8 will be printed. This is how the 4 categories of functions, functions without parameters, without return values, without parameters and with return value, with parameters and without return value, and with parameters and with return value. In the next session, we will see recursion in C. Thank you.